barn, and we're renovating the existing house, doing $2 million worth of work. $1 million house. It's not town farm.
Okay, 6:30.
Recording in progress.
I've been doing this a while, I'm not a kid.
What's up?
The people that wanna live in this town, it's unbelievable.
The baby boomers have wealth, right? The older people, and whether they set their kids up, they've got some money to help their kids out, or that wasn't.
They all wanna help their kids out, not leave it to them, they wanna do it now. They all wanna help their kids, I see that I see a lot of. Well, my parents are gonna help us.
Oh, well, you see it at this meeting, the young kids that come in that are building the houses, they're getting the money from someplace. Which is great, that's a good use. If I had kids, I'd wanna see them enjoy it
That's a sad
rather than
story.
leave it to them.
It's very sad.
Great-grandparents brought that to life.
Oh, really?
Wanted them. Ready? Good, we got a big meeting.
Ugh, we got a lot of people here. Let's go now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the January 18th, 2023 Sutton Conservation Commission meeting. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll take a roll call. In person tonight is Vice Chair Mike McGovern, Robin Jakes, Jamie Marin, and Tim Thompson, and myself, Chair Bill Wentz. Unavailable tonight is Nicole Oben, and in-person staff is Wanda Bean and Brandon Faniff and Greg LaCroix, town consultants. Pursuant to Governor Baker's February 15, 2022 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this meeting of the Sutton Conservation Commission is in a hybrid format with both in-person and Zoom components. To join the meeting, visit www.zoom.us/join and enter meeting ID 862-7694-0837 and passcode 945339. The meeting will be broadcast and recorded on local public access station Verizon 31 and Charter Spectrum 191 and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel when available. A recording of the meeting will be made available after proceedings on the town's website and YouTube channel. First thing up is 22 Torrey Road. It's a new one I have to read in. In accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Bylaw 12, Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review a notice of intent, NOI, submitted by Matt Stencil, Town of Sutton Highway Department, Sutton, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, January 18th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. The project consists of construction of stormwater BMPs at the Manchog Pond boat ramp to improve water quality entering the pond at 22 Torrey Road. Welcome. Come on up, and if you could just state your name and address for the records, please.
I'm Matt Stencil, the Highway Superintendent for the Town of Sutton.
Stephanie Hansen, Comprehensive Environmental.
Thank you both. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us this evening. Will you be putting a plan up on the screen, or I do have some hard copies that I can, if you'd be interested in those as well, or would anyone like?
If you have a card copy to pass around.
Yep. There's two here, Wanda.
And just in the audience, if anyone is here for 14 Lincoln Road, that has been continued to February 15th, 2023. Thank you, Mike. That was at the applicant's request to continue. They're just plans if you want to look at it.
Thank you. Take one, pass it down.
Here you go.
He's coming.
Got your own.
They're coming, I was gonna share with you.
Everyone have one?
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for hearing us this evening. I'm here with Matt Stencil with Sutton Highway Department, the applicant for this project. So this project is a Section 319 non-point source pollution project funded by Mass DEP and EPA to make water quality improvements within the Manchog Pond watershed. So the grantee is the Manchog Pond Foundation. They received this grant in 2021, and this particular project is one of a number of tasks that they received funding for under this 319 grant. This is their third grant, and I have to say that the foundation they completed two very successful grants prior to receiving this grant in 2021. And this particular site is actually a continuation of phase one work that they started in, I believe it was 2008, where they received a order of conditions to sort of start the first portion of this project. So this is a water quality improvement project. Like I said, it's for the design and construction of stormwater best management practices at the Manchog Pond boat ramp. This site was selected based on a DEP-approved watershed-based plan that was completed in 2020, where we went out into the watershed and we prioritized locations where water quality improvements could be made. So this location was one of those priorities. So if you look on the page C1, which after the cover page of the plan, it shows an overview of the parking lot. Like I said, this is sort of a continuation of a phase 1 part of the project that we did in between 2008 and 2010. So I'm going to point out what was installed back then and what we're proposing this evening. Keep in mind that there is, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no, prior to 2008, there was no formal stormwater drainage.
No, there was not.
Or BMPs at this parking lot. So the first grant that the foundation received, we installed a geogrid, which is sort of that crosshatch area down at the along the bottom part of the parking area, and that was to help infiltrate and treat stormwater from the center parking area. Also, as part of that grant, we installed 2 leach and catch basins right at the entrance, sort of on the northeast section of the plan. And then there were 2 rain gardens that were also installed. And all of this was to help treat stormwater, reduce contaminants from stormwater directly sheet flowing into Manchog Pond, and try to increase infiltration and provide some water quality treatment. So what we are proposing today is to add on to that and hopefully treat the remainder of the parking lot. So what we're proposing are 4 additional leach and catch basins, and those are shown sort of in the center of the lot there. That is to treat stormwater that is not currently going into the existing catch basins or being caught by the geogrid or the rain gardens. And we're also proposing on the side parking spots porous pavement. So there's approximately 5,700 square feet of impervious material that's going to be removed, and pervious pavement is going to be put in place there in order to help infiltrate stormwater flow along those parking spots. And that's basically the project. Everything that was installed and part of the initial grant is going to stay there. It's working well. It's helping to improve water quality, and we're going back and sort of trying to do phase 2 at this location. And again, ultimately to help improve the water quality of Manchog Pond.
Thank you very much. To Brandon and Greg, anything to add to this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Greg, you wanna take this, you want me to take this?
I can do a little intro if you want. And then,
Sure.
all right. So the project is, I would say, a benefit to public interest, right? They're putting measures in place to clean the water, or the storm water on site before it reaches wetland and water bodies. So the project purpose is a benefit. They're also not increasing the area of the project. It's all within the current disturbed footprint of the previously permitted project, and therefore there's no new vegetation clearing, there's no new grading that was not already there. Everything will go back similar to as it was previously permitted. The only question, and Brandon brought this up with the applicants, was whether or not there was any soil test pits dug to analyze groundwater or potential ledge, and therefore figuring out how well these new measures will work once they're installed. And that was our only question regarding the project.
Perfect, thank you. Were any test pits dug, or?
No, we didn't do test pits primarily because the grant application is really long, and we had to come up with conceptuals actually in 2020. And we didn't want to have to dig up, the pavement within the parking lot to determine that. So what we had done is actually we took a survey point of the pond back then. I would say it was probably late spring, early summer. So it was probably at a fairly high point. That was 89. And our closest catch basins are at, I believe, 92. So there's 3 feet difference between that elevation, which we don't think that we would see groundwater go much above the edge or the water line at that point within the parking lot. There is 1 foot of gravel beneath the catch basin. So that's part of the 3 feet. And there's also a foot of crushed stone all around the catch basin just to assist with infiltration. Something that we could do during construction, since we are going, and one thing I didn't mention is that this time around, we're going to be resurfacing the interior of the parking lot as well. While we're out there and digging up those catch basins, it's a good opportunity to resurface that area just in kind. So we could do those test pits when we're out there and actually shift the catch basins because there's a slope there, obviously, going down towards the lake. We could shift those catch basins up to create more space between the groundwater and where the catch basins are. Ultimately, if the catch basins failed, they would essentially just overflow and do what the stormwater is doing right now. And the benefit of that is that you've already caught all of your first flush with all of your bacteria and sediment and nutrients that will generally come off of the roadway and any of your impervious surface during the first part of the storm.
Thank you. To the board, any questions?
The chair. So the impervious areas, I want to start with that. Those are currently paved, correct?
Correct.
So you're showing 2 pervious. So why are we going to, ground infiltration with ground up asphalt really isn't going to cause much, and aren't we worried about runoff because it's now not really super stable? I see T-base wash out over time. It leaves a black residue, especially the one to the left or to the right as you come in, that's going to be washing down into the boat ramp. I mean, I purposely don't think you're really causing much infiltration with porous asphalt, ground up asphalt compacted. I'd like to see it stay paved because I think it's more stable and less chance of anything running into the lake.
Well, it is a pavement. It's coming from the plant. It's just
I
a
have it at
different
my
mix.
house. I have ground compacted, and when we get heavy rains, it washes down my driveway, and I have to clean it up out of the driveway. That's what makes me think of it. And it's a finer silt than you think, and it's got asphalt and chemicals and oil in it. So I actually think that could cause more harm over time than having it paved. For one, the way the water's gonna flow, it's not gonna sit there. It's gonna ground flow, right? It's not like it's a low spot where it's gonna saturate into the ground. It's just gonna run over the top. So I think we're just looking for future problems, having it not be asphalt like it is now, my opinion. And then you show biodegradable wattles everywhere. Is that a good practice for a job like this where they have to be cleaned up and heavy work going on right on the edges of where you're working? They don't hold up real well. You touch them, they fall apart. So I just wonder if that was a good practice for this project?
Well, I don't think the time frame of the project's not gonna take like months. It's not,
Right, all the more, they gotta clean them all up, right?
Yeah.
So they disintegrate. They can't pick them up. They're meant to be in the woods more than on a project like this. So I think you should consider your method for the way you're gonna maintain erosion control in this parking lot while construction goes on where it's so close. I mean, your erosion control is on the edge of the asphalt.
yeah, we don't,
See-
ideally, we don't plan to have any stockpiles at all. Everything's gonna go into a
Oh,
truck.
I know, but you
and
see the
hopefully
line
not
of
have any
hay
rain.
bales? I mean, there's a tremendous line of erosion control on this project, which some of it, I don't think you need all of it. Some of it could be a black fence. And then I personally think you're just gonna have a big mess to clean up with biodegradable wattles right on asphalt, basically.
What do you think, it's straw bales?
No, I wouldn't do that. It's just that they have nylon ones. They actually, construction companies have socks they bring from job to job. They're like a really heavy duty. They're easy to pick up. They hold up really well during construction, especially where the grading that goes down towards the lake. Those biodegradable wattles don't do a lot. They don't stop much. They look pretty, they do. I mean, when you first put them in, they look great, but that's about it. They're not a well-performing wattle. They're really good in the woods. That's where they really do work well. So I just would consider that you, for one, it's a big expense, and I don't think it would work well. So you did no
We can certainly
testing
make
of-
that change.
So we're gonna spend all this money in a grant, and that's great, but you didn't do any soil testing to understand what these catch basins are gonna be able, I mean, what if they don't even work? And this was just a waste of money.
So
I mean, without any engineering of soil testing, how do you know what they're gonna, how are they gonna work? Where's groundwater? I mean, if there's only a foot of room for the water to go in and we spend all this, I mean, I just question, is this a viable project without better engineering? What's it gonna accomplish?
we don't think that groundwater is going to be above the point that we surveyed in, as far as the pond level.
Yeah, no, I know, but
It's very close.
what about ledge? There's a lot of ledge in that area. What if we, I mean, you did no testing, no borings, you're just gonna go and dig giant holes to put catch basins in and hope that we don't hit any ledge, or hope that the groundwater's not at 2 feet? I'm just saying, before we go and rip this whole parking lot apart and spend this money.
Well, unfortunately, they don't give you the money until they give you the money, so we don't have it, we didn't have money for test borings before we, you know what I mean?
Just concerned.
Just the way that the grant kinda works.
So if we were to allow this project, we gonna be able to condition it with timeline? I mean, is it June, July, and August? Is the whole boat ramp shut down? What is timelines? I haven't heard any talk or discussion of when the project would start and be completed, how long it would take.
We wouldn't look to close the boat ramp at all, we wouldn't look to leave anything open at all. We'd look to, at least with the catch basins, you know, get in the morning and get it more or less closed up at night, you know.
Is the
And-
town doing the work, or is this?
Most of it probably,
Oh, you guys
at
are
least the
doing this?
basins themselves, yeah. You know, we would go in, that's why I don't disagree with you, straw wattles, because we don't plan on leaving
Don't
it,
spend
you
that
know what I
kind of
mean?
money, you
We
know
don't
what
plan on leaving it open or leaving it
Yeah.
at all, and we don't plan on stockpiling any soils or anything like that. The soils will leave in a truck and the stone will come in, the basin will go in, and hopefully everything will be more or less buttoned up in the evening. You know, by the end of the day, we wouldn't open 4 holes and then, you know what I mean, leave piles of dirt and anything like
So we
that.
just wanna go in, do a catch
And we would
basin,
let people obviously still use the boat ramp.
keep the boat ramp
Just,
open.
we would take up a little room, but we don't wanna,
And watch the weather. If a bad day, you're not
Correct.
obviously gonna dig. Yeah,
And
common
then
sense.
and then repave.
and then probably repave all 4 of them at once. That would just be the only thing that would wait. But there would be stone to a point.
Are you gonna resurface the whole parking lot? There's arrows that says it, I just,
We want to, that hasn't been 100% planned out and funded yet, but
that would be nice, I mean,
that would be ideal, yeah. Well, most likely what'll happen is we'll pave the patch around the basins at first. And then,
so with all these, another concern, with all these improvements, as we improve it, the uses already can at sometimes be excessive and out of control, meaning it's all the way to the street, it's on the edges of the road. I know I live literally right down the street from here, I live on the lake, so I probably have a lot of knowledge of what I see happening to the lake, and a lot of my concerns to we talk about the well-being of the lake. I mean, it starts at this boat ramp with the traffic that goes in and out of that lake. Not that we can stop it, everyone's allowed to use the lake, so, but there's no monitoring, there's really no sense of any kind of hours. There may be a sign, but it seems like you can drive in 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
yeah, we would avoid all the peak times to do the work, you know, obviously.
We're improving a boat ramp that has issues at some times during the summer, and with improvement comes more use. I'm not opposed to the improvements, don't take this the wrong way, but I just think there's things to think about.
I don't think we're not improving the user, you know, for the user of the boat ramp. We're improving for the, you know, for the lake, which I guess in the end, you know, cleaner water is gonna maybe bring more people, but
But is the
we're not
concept-
changing anything or improving anything for the people that use the ramp themselves. We're just, you know, we're just
So not
focused on the water.
engineer. So sometimes when we do projects next to lakes, we have to separate grease and oil from the catch basins before they fail, because they're all designed to fail. Is there any methods for, we have boats and trailers and cars, and is there anything been talked about? Well, that's the real things that affect a lake.
Well, right now, it's going straight in the lake.
Basically, when you're done these catch basins, they could be going still straight into the lake and make absolutely no difference. That's what I'm trying to say.
There's no outlet from the catch basins. And the catch basins, as well as the pervious asphalt, have an O&M plan that the town will maintain. So the catch basins will be cleaned out, the pervious pavement will either be power washed or vacked.
Right, but they don't connect, so you're literally relying on just the hole that's dug for the catch basin?
There's nothing out there right now. There are no pipes or anything like that, with the exception of the two at the entrance. So, correct, it's just complete infiltration. So it's catching all of the pollutants and contaminants from first flush.
Versus nothing in place now.
Correct.
No, it does, it goes right into the lake. I mean, there's, you know, it's a paved parking lot with no catch basins or drainage.
There's a portion that's caught by the geogrid, which was put in a number of years ago, and that's to promote infiltration, sort of similar to the pervious asphalt, but only for a small portion of the parking lot.
I have a question.
I have no more.
Jamie?
Thank you.
If you're not gonna repave the parking lot, are the grades sufficient to push the water to the catch basins?
We expect to regrade in those areas. I don't know if it'll be the entire area, but it should go into the catch basins. And if we decide when we're out there that, a lot of it depends on the funding. We had to cost this actually before COVID, so we're dealing with that as well. And DEP is working well with us on that. But we can shift those catch basins around a little bit.
So the grade will push the rain into the catch basins?
Correct, right.
Anybody else from the board to the audience? Any questions? Anyone on Zoom? Phyllis, if you want to come up to a microphone to speak, for our friends at home to hear. And your name and address, please.
Right, Phyllis Charpentier, 20 Irma Jones Road. I'm president of the Manchog Pond Foundation. Just to answer Mike's concern about the boat ramp and the excessive use on, warm weekends and all that, the project is not expanding the number of parking spaces. It's not expanding any portion of the ramp. It's just looking to take the existing ramp and improving it so that it is catching that runoff and filtering things. Our first grant, we saw, there's a rain garden, and then there's a gabion?
There's a check dam.
Yeah, check dam. And we saw common reeds, an invasive, come in from the drainage off the parking lot. So our first grant looked at that. So we're just looking to kind of modernize or update the ramp instead of just using the asphalt. The two catch basins at the top, take care of the runoff there, but then that whole parking lot slopes right to the lake. And where the ramp is going into the water, it's just like a huge funnel.
Water slide.
Yeah, so, if that water can be interrupted, at least 4 times, and then the grid. And then we work with the town, and we have a private company that comes in, cleans the rain garden, cleans, the BMPs from the first grant, so that all the sediment's removed and those are working properly, and we try to do that yearly. And we use boat ramp fees to pay for that, so we're looking just to kind of modernize, think out of the box instead of just plain asphalt, just so that we can, there's a lot of boats, there's a lot of tournaments on the weekend, so you are getting trucks and trailers and boat motors and invasives and, a lot coming off of those vehicles into Manchog Pond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your name and address as well, please.
My name is Ned Bacon. I'm at 64 Singletary Avenue. A lot of Leeds buildings in Boston are being built right now with permeable paving stones, which is very, very effective. And basically, I think, to your point, if you consider the entire parking lot as something that would allow the water to permeate the ground, as opposed to running off, that would perhaps solve a lot of these problems.
Thank you. Anybody else from the board? Or at home or audience.
I make a motion to close the public hearing on 22 Torrey Road. Is that where we're at?
Rob made a motion to close the public hearing. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye.
I make a motion to issue an order of conditions on 22 Torrey Road.
May I make a quick interjection?
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you. I recommend, as a special condition, as part of the standard special conditions, that let me get the correct wording here.
And then don't say it real fast.
Ooh, you gotta go to the end. Hold on. One moment. Right, so that ready?
Yep.
That the stormwater BMP implementation project operations and maintenance plan,
Go backwards.
just call it the operation and maintenance plan, that should be enough, be made an in perpetuity condition. That's what I would recommend.
Basically stating that it would just constantly be maintained.
Correct.
And upkept.
And the Conservation Commission will have jurisdictional reach indefinitely in the future if it's not being maintained if you see that the pond is being adversely impacted because of lack of maintenance.
Okay. I think I got it.
Okay, good.
Okay. So I make a motion for an order of conditions for 22 Torrey Road with a special condition that operation maintenance of say the word again?
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you to
Thank
MPF
you.
for working hard on getting the grants and securing money. And get it done. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Next up is 6:35 PM. It's now about 6:55. Is 14 Lincoln Road, and at the request of the applicant, this is being continued to February 15th, 2023.
What time?
6:30.
6:30.
I make a motion to continue 14 Lincoln Road to February 15th, 2023 at 6:30 PM.
I'll second it.
Rob made a motion to continue 14 Lincoln Road to February 15th at 6:30. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Next thing up are the minutes of December 7th, 22, December 21, 22. Has everyone reviewed those 2 minutes? 2 meeting minutes?
Yeah, I did send them out, and I'm still working on the others.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of 12/7 and 12/21 of 2022.
I'll second it.
Rob made a motion to approve 12/7 and 12/21, 2022. Mike seconded. Rob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. And the minutes of 1/5 were tabled. Wanda, am I reading this right? 56 Singletary Ave, has that been requested discussion be continued?
Yes, it's to be continued to February 1st meeting because the owner cannot be here tonight at
Okay.
this meeting.
I don't think we need a motion for that because it's a discussion, right?
Right.
Okay.
On that point, I sent some letters in, and I have a revision here. It just corrects the units that we're in. Can I leave these with you?
Yes, you can. Yep. Thank you.
And that
Oh, I
will be
actually
on
saw those in an
February
email.
1st?
February 1st at 6,
It'll be,
It's a-
once discussion happens.
It's a discussion.
Yeah, there's not a
no, I
time.
have it in as a,
Oh,
as an actual, I just don't have the thing with me.
okay. So it'll be February 1st, which is
Maybe
2,
February 1st,
a
yeah.
couple weeks from tonight.
The revs are in red. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wanda?
All right, site visit for 19 Oakhurst Road.
Hold on a second.
I'm sorry.
Nope, that's all right. I'm not,
Important enough.
hardly.
This needs to be signed, if you could
Okay.
just pass it around.
Yep.
And I will put this in with the other. That's one.
19 Oakhurst, Brandon, you guys been out there?
Yes, and we've gotten the statement from the engineer, and it's a very comprehensive submission for a COC. Of course, it is for, a large facility, but I recommend approval, complete compliance.
I make a motion for issue a certificate of compliance for 19 Oakhurst Road.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion for certificate of compliance for 19 Oakhurst. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
I will vote aye. 315 Central Turnpike, invalid order. Is that,
Yeah, they never started work,
okay.
so, and it's expired. So, it's all, they didn't start work, so this is ripe for what we call an invalid order, conditions, work never began.
So do we make it,
But
How did they get rid of it? Say they recorded it. Oh, they never even recorded it?
There's a checkoff box on the certificate of compliance, it says invalid.
It got recorded, they just never did any,
They just
they never
never did
built the
work.
project.
Got it.
So we don't need to do anything.
so we make a motion for certificate of compliance for an invalid order. So it just clears it out on our end.
All right, so I make a motion for issue a certificate of compliance for an invalid order on 315 Central Turnpike.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion, Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye.
And here's this one.
Yeah, it's weird wording,
Writing.
when you say invalid order conditions, it kind of sounds like.
Double negative?
You're in
Yeah.
trouble. Right.
Yeah, sounds like
Yeah.
you're in trouble, yeah.
Oh, where's that one?
All right.
Any input forms from other departments tonight? I'm not
No,
seeing
not
anything.
The only thing I have is.
The money?
Yes, I need motion to be made so that I can transfer money to the WPA account from the municipal account. And the town accountant said, we need to do a motion to do it, and then he will do
Okay,
the
so,
changes.
right, per the town accountant, Wanda is asking to move $5,000 from the municipal account, which has a balance of $19,437.29, to the Wetland Protection Act account, which has a balance of $297.76. The reason for this is we're not receiving many NOIs or RDAs, but we still have bills to pay. So we need a motion on that, if you
I
want.
make a motion to move $5,000 from the municipal account to the wetland protection account.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to move monies from municipal to the wetland account. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. We do have an executive session, but before we get into that, is there anything else? Because, yes, Greg?
Jamie, at the last meeting, asked me to look into where we're at with the CR for 3 Lackey Dam Road. It sounds like there hasn't been any progress on that front. They are aware that they have to do it before they start construction, but as far as moving the process along, there hasn't been anything.
So the town is the holdup.
No, it sounds like Beals and Thomas just
No,
hasn't
no, no.
put
Well,
anything.
they haven't submitted the final language
Yeah.
for consideration.
Yeah,
So
they-
the ball's in their court.
Yeah, still in their court, but like I said, they are well aware that they have to do it before construction.
One other thing, 480 Boston Road, the guy that built the shed,
It's on the next meeting.
it's on the next meeting. I was just gonna say, did that fall off the agenda? Okay.
To the gentleman in the audience, do you have anything for us tonight? No? Just visiting?
Looking for entertainment.
Yeah. Not much on TV. Anything else before we go into executive session? As my understanding, when we come back from executive session, we will just re-adjourn the meeting and then adjourn the
We
meeting.
will adjourn the meeting from executive.
So there will be nothing further discussion.
I have to recuse, I don't have to stick around, right?
Yeah, I
'Cause
will,
probably shouldn't
Um,
be even in,
I would
assume-
I would assume.
yeah, executive session I
Right.
should leave.
yeah, I was gonna make note of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I'm
make a
just-
note of
I'll-
it.
But I won't
Just
be.
take your coffee and go.
Okay.
That's it. I like it. Thank you all. See you.
We'll take
So I have to
cable a
make
few
motion.
minutes to shut down.
Okay, so, but we need to make that motion on
Yeah,
here.
on air, right? All right, I make a motion to enter into the executive session, MGL 30A, subsection 21, number 3, to discuss pending litigation with the sole purpose of re-entering open meeting for adjournment only.
I'm gonna recuse myself.
I'll second.
Robin made a motion for executive session. Jamie seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
And And I, Bill, vote aye. Mike McGovern is
Who made the second? Was it? Okay.
Jamie.
Jamie. Mike McGovern is recusing from this. At this point, cable will take a few minutes. They will shut down. This will be behind closed doors discussion. We will re-adjourn after that, or we will come back to live television to adjourn. So for anyone
No,
watching,
We will not come back to.
we will not come back to live television.
Just to come back to adjourn.
We will reconvene in open session to adjourn, but for anyone watching at home tonight, there's nothing more to see, folks.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you very much.